What's up, world? It's your man, MrSan44Man, in 88 countries around the world. Hey, I'm out here in Hamtramck today, and I got a new show going on for our new Monday going up here on the 28th of January 2013. Y'all stick around. I got a lot of issues going on today. Stick by. The MrSan44Man Show, Detroit. Right. What's up, world? This is your man, MrSan44Man, seen in 88 plus countries around the world. Dig this here. I'm out here today in the city of Hamtramck. Everybody take a look at Hamtramck. They got the graffiti artists out there doing their little thing. It's pretty nice to welcome you to their city. You know what I'm saying? I just always support all the graffiti artists out there. But listen, check this out. I got my son a lawyer. Todd Perkins. Yeah, y'all know him in the city of Detroit. He ain't playing. High profile, high case lawyer. Cause I ain't playing with this. I can't have my son with no court-appointed lawyer down in the city of Detroit. I already told y'all that, right? That's what's up. But I didn't really want to start with that because, you know, I'm glad that my son's going to have an attorney tomorrow that's going to represent him. Shouts out to my man, Todd Perkins. Y'all look him up on the internet. Todd Perkins Group. And, you know what I'm saying? He represents all the high-profile cases that's going down in the city of Detroit, wrongful or whatever. And, hey, he's your cat. Get with him. Hey, he's MrSan44Man approved. Once again, he's MrSan44Man approved. So, y'all go, shouts out to that cat, because he's the one that's representing my son. Anyway, I also wanted to say that, I talked to one of my homegirls that's in the kind of same situation, and I'm noticing that she told me she's pregnant. Now, her boyfriend got her pregnant, and she ain't dealing with him no more. My son is with his girl, and you know what I'm saying, he don't want to deal with his other girl no more. It seems like it's a lot of cats out here that just don't want to do what they supposed to do. You know, your girls don't want to be with you no more. They ain't trying to be with you. Then you got this baby out here. Now, you got a lot of cats that run up on a lot of females that, yeah, you want to be their man and all that. But are you prepared, sir, to take care of that child like you would your own? Or your interest is just in the mama? See, we got to break all this monotony up because we got too many kids out here with not enough daddies. Because I know, because I done raised your kids. I done raised 15 kids. And I only have 2. So don't tell me that I ain't raised no other men's kids. Because I have. But that's not so much the issue because the kids didn't ask to be here. They just want a father figure, mother figure, somebody that they can say mommy and daddy to. That's all. So therefore, if I can provide that, fine, I will do that. And I'll be there. But to the same degree, y'all out here, you cats, you're doing what you want to do. You don't care about nothing else. You definitely don't care about your kid. You definitely don't care about your family no more. And now you run up on another girl. Now here's another girl that you impregnated and got her family all messed up. But you can't do nothing. You working on what? Your PlayStation skills all day. You saying that your boys going, y'all shaking up things and doing things and making things happen, but you broke. Now don't get me wrong. It's some of us cats out here, black men, doing the right thing. Doing what's supposed to be done as a man. There's a lot of you saps out there ain't doing shit. Flat out. Real talk. or however you want to categorize it. I'm not shy to say it. It's a wrong sin for you to have babies out here that you refuse to take care of because you can't take care of, but you can go to another woman and impregnate her and then cause the same fucking problem that you was trying to run away from. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it raw. I'm out here in no parking zone telling y'all this just so y'all can see where I am. I'm right here on the train tracks. Hamtramck. Can you hear the whistle blow? I'm out here. I'm everywhere. This is my city that I want to see my people do better. Now I got a son sitting here in jail about a little girl that want to make accusations. And she making these accusations, but she have no stipulations on the accusations that she's making. And she's about to weave herself into a boll weevil. But that's neither here or there. I got you. This is your man, MrSan44Man, keeping it real and keeping it raw. Peace. What's up, world? It's Hamtramck. See the trains moving on. Just letting y'all know, I'm out here showing the cities that surround my city. And this is one of them, Hamtramck. Probably they got a lot of cars in there. This is Detroit, Motor City capital. So, I just wanted y'all to check that out and let y'all know that I got a variety of things that's getting ready to come up on the MrSan44Man show. I can't name them all, but hey, you know I'm gonna put it out there and I'm gonna keep it real and I'm gonna keep it raw. This is MrSan44Man in Hamtramck, watching the trains go by. Peace.
3 men are now behind bars for the attempted robbery and shooting at a Clay Township party store. Many of you may have seen this video right here on Local 4 last week. 2 hooded young men dashed into a convenience store, fired a shot, but ran out of that store as the manager ran them out, pulling out his own gun. The manager was not hurt. 20-year-old Kevin Polanowski and 40-year-old Paul Harris and Kyle Cycle are all charged in this incident. Good Monday morning to you. Let's get you updated on breaking news this morning. Kwame Kilpatrick has been released from jail, and this morning he's back in a courtroom. Will Jones live with more.
Well, good morning, Rhonda. Yes, he was released about 15 minutes ago here from the Detroit Re-Entry Center. It was fast. He got out of the building and then he went into a vehicle and drove off. We do have some video of that, as you can see. This happened really fast and you cannot see much. We did see, though, when he drove out of the gate, he did throw up a peace sign. It looks like he's in plain clothes, so he'll probably have to go get changed and get ready to head over to federal court. He was in jail for the weekend after he was hit with 14 parole violations. He opted out of the formal parole violation process and chose to serve 3 days in jail. A lot of media attention, a lot of people waiting for him to get out of jail to see how his stay was for the weekend. So, Rhonda, he's going to go over to federal court now to continue for his corruption trial.
All right, well,
this is MrSan44Man. Shouts out to all my Brazilian people that watch the MrSan44Man. I surely hope that none of my families was in this nightclub. But I will show the American side of the report, and here it is.
Good morning. Nightclub chaos. Startling new details this morning on the fire that killed more than 230 people in Brazil. In the confusion, did security guards actually prevent some patrons from fleeing that building?
From NBC News, this is Today with Matt Lauer and Savannah Guthrie.
Grammy-winning singer Chris Brown is being questioned by LA sheriff's deputies about an alleged assault over a parking space. Witnesses say that Brown punched another man on Sunday night outside a West Hollywood recording studio. That man hasn't been identified, but singer Frank Ocean tweeted last night that he was jumped by Brown and a couple into that tragic nightclub fire in Brazil. NBC's Mike Taibbi has the latest. Mike, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. It has been a deadly formula in the past. A nightclub packed with young revelers, a rock show that includes fireworks or, as Matt said, some sort of pyrotechnics, and too few ways for everyone to escape when fire and smoke lead to panic. The Kiss nightclub in the city of Santa Maria was packed with its usual Saturday night crowd when, at 2 in the morning, disaster. A swift-moving fire had filled the ground floor club with thick smoke. Witnesses said club security had initially blocked several emergency exits, thinking patrons were leaving without paying, and that left only a few ways out. In the ensuing panic, some victims were trampled, most died of smoke inhalation. And many witnesses told police this fire was triggered by the use of some incendiary device on stage. That, according to Radio Gaucho's Sarah Badowski.
This band uses fireworks, and as we heard, it was usual for this presentation, but the feeling was too short.
Some club goers who did make it out joined firemen and onlookers in their attempts to open new escape routes using sledgehammers and axes. Surviving victims were carried to ambulances and other vehicles and rushed to the city's main trauma hospital, which was quickly overwhelmed.
The injured are scattered around the hospital. Those waiting for news outside are desperate.
Desperate, too, were those waiting for the worst news. The numbers of the dead rising so quickly the city morgue ran out of room. The bodies of scores of victims brought instead to a local gymnasium.
We had them all laid side by side, and that was a terrible, terrible vision.
The emerging details of this disaster, a packed club, too few escape routes, and a fire triggered by onstage pyrotechnics, brought to mind several other similar nightclub tragedies. There was a 2003 inferno in West Warwick, Rhode Island's Station nightclub that claimed 100 victims, and the 2004 blaze in Buenos Aires with some 200 victims. But as Brazil's president, Dilma Rousseff, consoled relatives of the victims here, her country, soon to host the World Cup and the Olympics, remains in shock at one of its worst modern tragedies. Fire officials said there may have been 1,000 or more patrons in the club at the time. That's well above its legal capacity. One witness said the tragedy unfolded in seconds. The fire and the panic spreading equally quickly.
Into that tragic nightclub fire in Brazil. NBC's Mike Taibbi has the latest. Mike, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. It has been a deadly formula in the past. A nightclub packed with young revelers, a rock show that includes fireworks or, as Matt said, some sort of pyrotechnics, and too few ways for everyone to escape when fire and smoke lead to panic. The Kiss nightclub in the city of Santa Maria was packed with its usual Saturday night crowd when, at 2 in the morning, disaster. A swift-moving fire had filled the ground floor club with thick smoke. Witnesses said club security had initially blocked several emergency exits, thinking patrons were leaving without paying, and that left only a few ways out. In the ensuing panic, some victims were trampled, most died of smoke inhalation. And many witnesses told police this fire was triggered by the use of some incendiary device on stage. That, according to Radio Gaucho's Sarah Badowski.
This band uses fireworks, and as we heard, it was usual for this presentation, but the feeling was too short.
Some club goers who did make it out joined firemen and onlookers in their attempts to open new escape routes using sledgehammers and axes. Surviving victims were carried to ambulances and other vehicles and rushed to the city's main trauma hospital, which was quickly overwhelmed.
The injured are scattered around the hospital. Those waiting for news outside are desperate.
Desperate, too, were those waiting for the worst news. The numbers of the dead rising so quickly the city morgue ran out of room. The bodies of scores of victims brought instead to a local gymnasium.
We had them all laid side by side, and that was a terrible, terrible vision.
The emerging details of this disaster, a packed club, too few escape routes, and a fire triggered by onstage pyrotechnics, brought to mind several other similar nightclub tragedies. There was a 2003 inferno in West Warwick, Rhode Island's Station nightclub that claimed 100 victims, and the 2004 blaze in Buenos Aires with some 200 victims. But as Brazil's president, Dilma Rousseff, consoled relatives of the victims here, her country, soon to host the World Cup and the Olympics, remains in shock at one of its worst modern tragedies.
Fire officials said there may have been 1,000 or more patrons in the club at the time. That's well above its legal capacity. One witness said the tragedy unfolded in seconds. The fire and the panic spreading equally quickly. Savannah.
Since the tragic death of Whitney Houston, and now her mom is out with a new book about her daughter's life. We will talk to Sissy Houston in a moment, but first, the highlights of Whitney's incredible career. She was called, quite simply, The Voice. With her vast arsenal of soulful ballads and pop hits, it's easy to understand why Whitney Houston was the most honored female artist of all time. At the pinnacle of her career, she also starred in box office hits. Love you. But behind all that profound talent, there was a troubled marriage to singer Bobby Brown and years of drug abuse. It has been almost a year since Whitney Houston's death, but her musical legacy will not soon be forgotten. Sissy Houston's new book is called Remembering Whitney, a mother's story of life, loss, and the night the music stopped. Mrs. Houston, good morning. It's good to see you.
Good morning.
I see you smile when you look at those images.
Oh, yeah, I have a lot of smiles for her. She's great.
So many people loved your daughter from afar. That she was your little girl.
Not as much as I did.
How has this last year been for you? How are you dealing?
All right. I'm getting through it, hopefully.
You write of terrible grief in this book. You write, I'd be sitting in a chair in a daze, crushed under a burden of grief, and suddenly I'd hear someone screaming, and then I would realize those screams were coming from me.
Yeah.
Why did you want to tell this story?
Because they had it all wrong about her and our relationship, you know. We had no troubled relationship. We had a great relationship. But just because kids, when they get to a certain age, do what they want to do and don't want their mothers to know, I think people just make up things, you know what I'm saying? And it's not like that at all. She and I were very, very close. She knew I loved her, and I knew she loved me. There were troubled times with her husband and whatnot, and I think other things troubled her so much, you know.
The last time you saw her, I think, was at Christmas right before she passed away in February, and it sounds like there were some tender moments. What do you remember?
Tender. Well, I remember coming there. I was kind of angry because they didn't come for dinner and all of that kind of stuff. But I went someplace else, and I was kind of punishing them. But they called me and said, Mom, we here. Are you going to come? You know, I said, yes, I will after I come back from where I'm coming. And the next day I did. Christmas Day, I left where I was going, and I went to New York, and I met my children, all of them. And I was so glad to see her because I didn't see her that much, but we always communicated in some manner.
Then you got that terrible news in February, and the LA coroner's report ultimately concluded that she passed of a combination of a heart condition, but also the use of cocaine. There were many other drugs found in her system, and this was a lifelong struggle, it would seem, with drugs. Were you surprised at that point? I mean, did you think she was doing better at that point?
I did think she was doing better, and drugs stay in your system a long time, you know, so she didn't have to do that day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It could have been a week ago or whatever, what I know about it, because I don't know really much about it. But
this is a very honest book. You ask yourself some tough questions. You write, should I have done things differently? Was I a good mother? Was I too hard on her? And the worst one of all, could I have saved her somehow?
Well, I think good mothers or good fathers or good families don't always have great children, you know. Bad people have good children, and everybody have what? It's all their responsibility when they get to a certain age to choose their way. She was taught, she knew the way.
Was there a moment when you knew, I have lost her to this illness, to drug addiction?
Yeah, but when I did that, I went and got her.
Is this when you went down in 2005
Absolutely.
to Atlanta? And what did you see when you walked into that house?
Well, she told you on Oprah what I saw. You know what I'm saying? It was not like mine. She had been brought up and lived and all that kind of business. And things that she didn't do, but I saw things that her husband did, you know.
Well, let me ask you about Bobby Brown, because
I don't know too much about Bobby Brown. I don't want to talk about Bobby.
You're very restrained in the book. You say, essentially, you don't blame him, but you're not sure he helped her.
Well, I know he didn't help her. I don't blame him. You can't blame. Everybody's responsible for their own actions, up to a point, you know. And I think that she was raised, she knew better, and whatever took her to that position, I really don't know.
You write about a woman in the book, somebody that you didn't care for all that much. You say they were very good friends.
They were.
Lived together for a time, and you acknowledge in the book that there were rumors that swirled around that relationship. Right. You come to the conclusion you don't honestly know what that relationship was about. In your heart of hearts, what do you think that relationship with that woman was about?
I thought they were good friends. Like Raquel Welch and all those other people that she had a lot of women around her. They thought the same thing about her. Didn't necessarily have to be true. But I didn't know anything, but she was living her life the way she wanted to do it.
You must miss her terribly.
I miss her so much, I can't even express it.
And there's so much heartbreak in this book, because you talk about times when you feel like she wasn't in touch as much.
No, she didn't. Well, when children, I think, are doing what they want to do, they don't always call their parents. You know, so, or whatever. Don't come to see you. If people stay away.
One thing I noticed in the book, you say a lot of people come up to you now and say, oh, Whitney, she was taken too soon. And you write in the book, you're not sure about that, or you have a different perspective on that.
Well, I trust in God, and we never know what His ways are not our ways, so we have to go with that, and there's nothing I can do about it. I loved her. She was wonderful. I'm very proud of her accomplishments, and I was very proud of her, and I still am.
Well, Sissy Houston, it's such a delight to talk to you. I know it's not easy, but we appreciate you being here, and I know we're going to talk to you a little bit more in our next hour, so we'll look forward to that. And again, the book is called Remembering Whitney. You can read an excerpt on today.com, and we'll be back. Right?
She was called The Voice, and with her vast collection of mega hits, it was really easy to understand why Whitney Houston was the most honored female artist of all time. It's been almost a year since her death, hard to believe, but Whitney Houston's mother, Sissy, has written a memoir called Remembering Whitney, a mother's story of life, loss, and the night the music stopped. Ms. Houston, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so very much.
You write in the book, you keep hearing people saying, you know, that Whitney died before her time, and you say that isn't necessarily so.
Not necessarily so is right. Like I said, God's time is not our time, and His ways is not ours, so I guess He knows what He's doing.
Well, you know, to talk about knowing what somebody's doing, you write that you never really understood how Whitney fell into this life of drugs. And you think about what could you have done, and I think any parent could put themselves in your place. Mm-hmm. You know, what would you have done differently? Could you have saved her? Do you think about that?
Well, I think every mother who loses children or someone does. I don't know if I could have or not. I tried. Mm-hmm. You know, and it just wasn't in the cards, I guess. Did
you think? Were you hopeful that she could be saved, or was there something in the back of your mind?
I miss my daughter, and I wanted her. I would give anything to have her back right now.
You talk about in the book You didn't realize how deep the drug addiction went, that this goes back, into her...
No, I didn't, because, your kids stay away from you when they're doing wrong or what they think they do that you would disagree with, and she was no different from anybody. She was a loving, giving person who really didn't like confusion and all that, and when people booed her or said some, things like that, and early on they called her Whitey and names like that, it disturbed her. And of course, with her husband was the greatest idea in the world. But
Bobby Brown. A lot of people have pointed the finger at Bobby Brown about this, but you don't necessarily do that.
Well, I could point my finger, but...
Well, what do you think? What did you think of?
I don't even think of him, because I think that you're responsible for yourself. And that's the way I do. I'm responsible for what I do.
Yeah, but do you think he helped her or hurt her?
No, I think he did hurt her in a lot of ways.
How?
Just feelings, She was in love, I guess. She said she was. And it's the way you treat people, and
you talk about love. You write in the book, you say, in your darkest moments, you wonder if Whitney really loved you.
I knew my daughter loved me. We sit and think of all kinds of things. We were very close. We didn't see each other that often, but that's what happened. She was on the road all the time, and I was home. So
you talk about home. You provided her a good, stable home life. Even though a lot of people thought she grew up on the streets or in the projects, and nothing further from the truth.
Further than truth, absolutely. No.
She went to Catholic school.
Yes, she did. All of my children went there.
What was she like as a little girl? What was she like as a little girl?
She was a wonderful little girl, the same as she was an adult. She was a beautiful child, you see. She was bright, very bright, and she liked people. She was giving and loving and just didn't like confusion. She turned away from that as much as she could. She didn't.
Do you think that's what led to her drug use?
I really do. I think, the things that didn't work for her with her marriage, because that's what she really wanted. My husband and I had a solid, great marriage for years and years and years, and when it was over, it was over. But that's what happens. Nothing lasts forever.
When you started to hear her voice go, due to the drug use and the abuse, what were you thinking? Was it something you could say, something you could do to try to bring her back from the mess?
I did and said everything that I could. And, people don't realize that's the worst thing in the world that anybody can do to themselves or anybody can do to you. So I just say, watch out, kids.
It's a cautionary tale. Maybe learn from this.
I hope.
All right. Sissy Houston, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Ralph.
And you can read an excerpt of Remembering Whitney on today.com.